Good evening. Glad that you are watching your channel of choice on the news tonight. Tonight, Azimio leader Raila Odinga now says the ruling Kenya Kwanza coalition has created what he says is a false narrative about his intended demonstrations and its objectives.
That we are acting in the best interest of the members of Azimio, and that the meeting on Wednesday at Kamukunji grounds is a peaceful public consultative meeting. It is not a demonstration or picketing.
Juliana Cherera resigns as IEBC vice chairperson days after President Ruto suspended her. Tonight we shine the spotlight on the politicization of electoral management in the country. President William Ruto and his deputy Rigathi Gachagua rally Kenya Kwanza members of parliament to back their legislative agenda.
Each and every one of us, we must work together towards ensuring that we deliver on the program that we will consistently be pushing to the National Assembly and to the Senate.
Catherine Simaloi is our sign language interpreter. Good evening. I'm Abubakar Abdullahi. Welcome to the broadcast. Tonight, members of Azimio coalition led by Raila Odinga insist that they will conduct a peaceful meeting on Wednesday to protest against the removal from office of IEBC commissioners who disagreed with Chairman Chebukati at the tail end of this year's electoral process. And as Mike Kagongo now reports, Odinga and his deputy in Azimio, Martha Karua, say they do not intend to hold violent protests, contrary to claims.
Azimio la Umoja One Kenya leader Raila Odinga insists that the resignation of IEBC Vice Chairperson Juliana Cherera and 3 other commissioners who disowned President William Ruto's win will not stop their peaceful meeting at Kamukunji grounds, Nairobi on Wednesday this week. Odinga and his deputy Martha Karua insisting that the meeting will be peaceful.
That the Kamukunji event is a public consultative forum. The right to public protest, the right to demonstrate are enshrined in the Constitution.
That we are acting in the best interest of the members of Azimio, and that the meeting on Wednesday at Kamukunji grounds is a peaceful public consultative meeting.
Additionally, Odinga and his team have planned for another meeting at Jamhuri grounds on December 12 to celebrate patriots who fought for Kenya's freedom.
Again, that is just going to be celebrating Jamhuri Day with Wazalendo wa Kenya. And it's also going to be a very peaceful congregation. Not protests, not picketing.
An area of great concern to Azimio in which they intend to deliberate on is what they term as the cannibalization and politicization of the public service and the skewed appointments in the service. This comes in the backdrop of President William Ruto having warned the opposition against violent protests.
We regard the public service as the foundation of our nation. Nations begin to fail when the civil service fails. We are concerned that the fairly functional public service of Kenya, and which our nation has struggled to build over the years, is being turned upside down by the UDA regime.
Azimio! The Azimio leader took the opportunity to assure Kenyans that the Azimio brigade is united, contrary to reports that there were divisions among member parties.
Allegation in the media that Azimio Mizanbaratika. As you can see here, Martha Karua represents NAK Kenya. So you need to know that Azimio is very much united here.
Let us be serious and let people do whatever they feel befits them in the position they stand. We reject unsolicited advice.
Meanwhile, Jubilee Party Secretary General Jeremiah Kioni says the party will not field any candidate in the upcoming by-elections in Elgeyo Marakwet County, Kandara and Garissa Township constituencies.
And this is further informed by the findings of the Supreme Court that the chair of IEBC acted unilaterally without involving other commissioners in making core decisions of the commission, noting that Chebukati should have already proceeded on terminal leave pending the appointment of a new chair.
The mini polls will be held on January 5th, 2023 to replace Kipchumba Murkomen, Alice Wahome and Aden Duale, who are currently serving as cabinet secretaries for trade, water and defense respectively. Mike, GOtv 47, Nairobi.
Now, the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission Vice Chairperson and Commissioner Juliana Cherera finally gave in to pressure and resigned. Cherera is among the 4 commissioners who are expected to be probed by a tribunal chaired by a Court of Appeal Judge Agri Muchelule over their decision to reject the presidential results after the 9th of August polls.
Barely hours before Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Alliance planned demonstration take place to protest the sacking of 4 IEBC commissioners, 2 out of the 4 commissioners have resigned. The latest being IEBC Vice Chairperson and Commissioner Juliana Cherera, who resigned early today. In the letter dated December 5th, 2022, in which she addressed President William Ruto, Cherera said, and I quote, "It is with immense woe that today I tender my resignation as a Commissioner and Vice Chairperson of Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission," end of quote. She went ahead and said, "I sincerely thank His Excellency William Samoei Ruto, President of Kenya, for the opportunity accorded to me to serve the Republic. God bless," end of quote. Her resignation comes 2 days after IEBC Commissioner Justice Nyang'aya resigned from his position.
We concluded that the process that went into generation of Form 34C, which he used to declare results of the presidential election, was opaque.
Other commissioners who were expected to appear before the Agri Muchelule-led tribunal are Francis Wanderi and Irene Masit.
Mandate of the tribunal, such as this one, that is constituted under Article 251 of the Constitution, demands that you conduct your proceedings in a very transparent and fair manner.
But even as Azimio leader insists that they will go on with the protests, many will be waiting to see if the coalition will go ahead with the protests. Reporting for TV 47, I'm Violet Auma.
Well, still on matters IEBC and election management, the resignation of Juliana Cherera as IEBC Vice Chairperson is a stark reminder of how managing elections in the country can abruptly end careers. Our very own William Moige signals out instances where commissioners were either hounded out of office or resigned due to the politicization of the electoral body that they served in.
The process that went into generation of Form 34C, which he used to declare results of the presidential election, was opaque.
On Monday 5th, Juliana Cherera, in a letter to President William Ruto, resigned as the IEBC Vice Chairperson. Her resignation coming barely 2 days after IEBC Commissioner Justice Nyang'aya resigned from his position on Friday. The events come after 4 commissioners of the electoral body were suspended after being accused of attempting to subvert the will of the people in reference to the just concluded August 9 presidential elections. This is after President Ruto was declared the winner in the results announced by Wafula Chebukati after garnering 7.18 million votes, representing 50.49% of votes casted. The 2 others are Commissioners Irene Masit and Francis Wanderi. Azimio leader Raila Odinga will later petition the Supreme to overturn Ruto's win, but a 7-judge bench sitting at the Apex Court of Kenya on September 5th upheld the election of William Ruto as Kenya's 5th president. The development vindicating IEBC chair Wafula Chebukati. One of the main points the Raila Odinga team argued was if the breakaway of the 4 commissioners led by Chebukati's vice chair Juliana Cherera, splitting the commission into 2, affected the August polls and if the polls were fairly conducted.
Kila mtu anajua na Mungu anajua ya kwamba tulishinda uchaguzi. Tulishinda.
Ruto later appointed a 9-member tribunal to probe the suspended commissioners, chaired by Court of Appeal Judge Agre Muchelule. Other members of the team include Caroline Kamende, Matthew Njaramba, Colonel retired Said Hamis, Kibet Kiru. An electoral body in the country is faced by myriad of challenges in the aftermath of an election. This date backs to the late 90s since the reintroduction of multi-party politics in Kenya in the year 1991, with electoral bodies being confronted by allegations and accusations of making avoidable blunders despite efforts to streamline Kenya's electoral system. Though the 2002 election was hailed to be the most fair in Kenya's history, when a united opposition led by the late Mwai Kibaki, the following general election in 2007, in which Kibaki sought re-election, would be faced with a lot of issues.
I don't know if anything went wrong, I will say so. I do not know if anything went wrong. And that's what the law is there, that if something goes wrong, go to court.
In 2007, Kenya faced one of its darkest times after an election with the worst political instability experienced, when the country plunged into violence resulting from perception that the Electoral Commission of Kenya had rigged the elections in favor of Mwai Kibaki against Raila Odinga.
Hapa kwamba nitakuwa mwaminifu wa Jamhuri ya Kenya.
The defunct Electoral Commission of Kenya's chairman Samuel Kivuitu did not foresee a situation where some of the commissioners will create a parallel chain of command and were dealing directly with returning officers behind his back.
One, here you are given the results in front of press. You know me, I didn't know which media was there. There's so many cameras, like I can see camera there, another camera there, camera there. Results are brought to you. What will you tell Kenyans the reasons for not announcing them and they are given to you? What will you say?
Kivuitu will later openly admit that he did not know who won between Kibaki and Odinga. In ECK, the returning officer did not have much powers and the chairman was the creator of primary documents. The ECK was later disbanded to create the Interim Independent Electoral Commission (IEBC), and lawyer Isaac Hassan was appointed to head the electoral body. This was before the promulgation of the new constitution in August 2010, with a mission to institutionalize sustainable electoral process that will guarantee a free and fair election. The same team later graduated into the current IEBC after the promulgation of the 2010 constitution. In the IEBC under Mr. Hassan, the commissioners were involved in the day-to-day running of the electoral body and were involved in the procurement. Hassan adopted a hands-on approach to the extent that he was accused of usurping the duties of the secretariat. Come the 2013 general election, the IEBC faced criticism when its technology failed, forcing the commission to revert to a manual system which Odinga, who unsuccessfully petitioned the election of President Uhuru Kenyatta, said was deliberately done to manipulate the election through ballot stuffing. Hassan and his 8 commissioners were subsequently hounded out of the office in October 2016, following months of street protest led by Odinga, leading to the establishment of a bipartisan joint parliamentary committee on election reforms led by James Orengo and Kiraitu Murungi. The joint committee strengthened the use of electronic systems in results transmission. The new 7 commissioners led by Wafula Chebukati took office in January 2017, but the ground had since changed since the current commissioners have limited powers on the decision-making table. On October 18, 2017, Chebukati considered that the IEBC commissioners are divided and are pursuing partisan political interest and that his suggestions are being shot down at the plenary. Chiloba complained that a section of commissioners are out to derail him in a manner that will compromise a credible repeat election on October 26. One of the commissioners, Dr. Roslina Kombe, who resigned on October 17th, revealed that it had become increasingly difficult to continue attending plenary meetings where commissioners come ready to vote along partisan lines and not to discuss the merit of issues before them. Then Vice Chairperson Connie Nkatha and Commissioners Paul Kugat and Margaret Mwanchaya surprisingly resigned 6 months after the exit of Dr. Roslyn Akombe. Odinga withdrew from the race for a repeat poll on October 10th, citing the IEBC's refusal to effect changes ordered by the Supreme Court on September 1 and the decision by the ruling Jubilee Party to change the electoral laws midstream. In the run-up to the 2022 general elections, IEBC, through its chairperson Wafula Chebukati, announced some measures it was putting in place in a bid to deliver a free and fair election, among them banking on critical aspects such as voter registration, candidate nominations, regulations, staff recruitment, technology, and other materials. Hours before the announcement of the presidential results, a divided IEBC was exposed despite the electoral agency earlier dismissing claims that its members were not working as a team. IEBC Chairman Wafula Chebukati urged Kenyans not to pay attention to rumors of a division among stakeholders, and just like in the previous elections, a lot of politics and blame games will come to light afterwards.
In a young democracy, you find that there are institutions that will be very pivotal going forward. They need to be tested through all kind of stress. And I believe what IEBC has been going through is part of that. State building, which ultimately becomes now nation building.
This is a learning to future IEBC commissioners. They have to know that Kenyans, once they have been given mandate by the Kenyans to lead the independent elections commission, they must do the right thing.
The fate of the remaining 2 dissenting commissioners is unknown, as Chebukati and Commissioners Boya Molu and Abdi Guliye are set to retire come 2023. Moige William, TV 47.
Elsewhere, former Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission IEBC CEO James Oswago has been jailed for 4 years over the irregular awarding of 1.3 billion shillings tender for the supply of voter materials in the 2013 general election. Magistrate Felix Kombo convicted Oswago together with Deputy Commissioner Wilson Sholei after finding them guilty of failure to comply with procurement laws. The magistrate found that Oswago failed to comply with procurement laws in awarding a contract for the supply of 57,000 ballot papers for a South Mugirango by-election. He also faces charges of receiving 2 million shillings from Hamida Ali Kibwana to have him awarded IEBC contract.
Knowledge of the 5,000 EVITs when he chaired meetings of the EVIT Implementation Committee attended by representatives of FESTEC, and in which the matter of the 5,000 EVITs, as I read, was specifically discussed in his presence as chair. He was also present as CEO and board secretary together with the second accused at the IEBC plenary on 26 January 2013 when it approved procurement of 34,000 mixed EVITs, of which 5,000 to 10,000 were expressly indicated to be handheld. The first accused attempted to distance himself from the decision by saying that he advanced a proposal to retrofit 15,000 existing BVR kits, and that the board did not go with the idea, has no support from minutes of the plenary, and I find that it has no merit. On distribution of the material to the regions. The minutes of the committee also show that it was actively following up on other matters, such as that of the performance bond and distribution of materials, but clearly turned a blind eye on the question of inspection and inspection of the EV.
Moving on, President William Ruto has come out to defend himself against claims about capturing the judiciary, saying his support to the judiciary is to ensure justice is effectively and conclusively delivered to Kenyans. And as Andrin Kilemi now reports, the government has pledged to mobilize sufficient funds to facilitate Kenyans' access to justice.
President William Ruto has come out to respond to critics who have in the past questioned his seemingly close relationship with the judiciary, saying his interest is not in any way to interfere with the wheels of justice, but to ensure effective delivery of justice to the people of Kenya.
I know there is maybe a discussion as to why I am appearing in too many of the functions of the judiciary. I think they can confirm to you that I have never put a telephone call to anybody to ask them to do nothing. My support for the judiciary is so that they can effectively deliver justice to the people of Kenya. Period.
Speaking during the launch of the Administration of Justice in Kenya annual report, the head of state stated that the Kenya Kwanza government would mobilize sufficient funds for Kenyans to access justice and further ensure completion of 4 small claims courts in Nairobi within the next 90 days.
I wish to reiterate our pledge that despite prevailing budgetary challenges, we will unlock financial resources necessary to enhance access to justice in terms of infrastructure as well as personnel. I have agreed with the Chief Justice this morning that the pending 4 small claims courts in Nairobi, I will talk to the governor of Nairobi so that we can expedite the completion of these courts.
Chief Justice Martha Koome, who was present during the launch, said the judiciary will adopt technology to enhance access to justice as well as safeguard human rights in the administration of justice.
In the next financial year, Your Excellency, the NCJ will prioritize the finalization of the draft bill, the development of the ICT policy. We also hope to strengthen and institutionalize the CUC, reforms focused on the vulnerable groups, broadening our network of collaborations, both state and non-state actors, and formulating coordinated responses to corruption.
From the very beginning, when the Chief Justice took over as the Chief Justice and the chair of the NCAJ, she was very clear that as much as we are independent institutions, we are interdependent of each other, and we must work with each other. And this is how governments are supposed to be run.
Andrine Kilemi, TV 47.
Now, tonight, President William Ruto has rallied Kenya Kwanza MPs to support the government's agenda by passing crucial legislation to allow him implement the Kenya Kwanza manifesto. At the heart of the agenda during a parliamentary caucus meeting in Nairobi, the first of its kind facilitated by Parliament, is the Hustler Fund, the competency-based curriculum and supplementary budget, among other bills. Our senior political affairs reporter Apollo Kamau has the details.
In a stock-taking meeting that had reforms at IEBC on the agenda and the creation of the office of the official opposition leader, President William Ruto rallied his Kenya Kwanza troops to support the implementation of the Alliance Manifesto through key bills awaiting approval by Parliament.
Please forgive our parliamentary leadership. Sometimes I know they push you hard. It is not for any other reason. It's because we are also pushing them hard. And it is because, you know, the public also, the expectations are very high. We cannot afford to drop the ball. So all of us, and as has been said by the leader of majority, the agenda we bring to the floor of the House is the agenda for the Republic of Kenya and the administration that we run. It is not private business. It is not a private agenda. It doesn't belong to anyone.
Since the promulgation of the new constitution, this is the most efficient army, Your Excellency. They deal with precision in every business that they deal with on the floor of the House.
The Kenya Kwanza Parliamentary Caucus meeting coming at a time the administration is now fully constituted, with the new cabinet secretaries and principal secretaries having officially taken office. This as the alliance vowed to counter a resurgent opposition that is campaigning against the removal of IEBC commissioners and the Hustler Fund, President William Ruto's pet project, launched last week.
you have had these characters from the other side of Azimio telling people to borrow the money and not to pay, which is very retrogressive thinking. That should not happen in areas where you have been elected. And we are urging you to be the ambassadors of the Hustlers Fund.
My only concern, I think, is the issue of the Muslim nation, the issue of interest. So I believe, and we have raised with the authorities concern, that we are part of Muslim nation, or so Muslim nations are majority, you cannot ignore. And we want them to be part and parcel of this Hustler Fund. They can benefit directly or indirectly. We will share the little resource we have with Kenyans, even if it's 5 shillings. For them, they had billions and they have never shared with us. With us, 1 shilling, we will share with Kenyans. That's our policy, yes.
So I want to tell the Kenyans, the hustlers, the mamambogas, start with that 500. It will give birth to more and more. And the more you repay, the faster you repay, the more it increases.
Parliament is expected to hold a special sitting this Thursday to approve the supplementary budget and approve commissioners to the Commission on Revenue Allocation, as well as discuss pending bills to actualize the Kenya Kwanza Manifesto. With CDF rollout expected in the next few weeks, MPs are expected to play a crucial part in the placement of junior secondary schools in the primary schools infrastructure.
The President's presence here is crucial as far as consolidating the hustler agenda in Parliament is concerned, ahead of a crucial sitting on Thursday this week, despite an unrelenting opposition waiting on the wings. Apul Kamau, TV47 in Nairobi.
Thank you, Senior Political Affairs reporter Apollo Kamau, for that. Moving on. Principal secretaries in different ministries have today taken over from their predecessors, marking the end of retired President Uhuru Kenyatta's government. Collins Lusweti with a roundup of the events that took place today.
In the Ministry of Interior and Administration of National Government, outgoing Principal Secretary Karanja Kibicho passed on the baton to the new Principal Secretary Citizen Services, Ambassador Julius Bitok, saying that he felt proud of what he had achieved at the ministry.
Come to Mutesi here. We knew that Nyayo was a den of all crooks in this world because of passports, work permits and all that, and he's been able to streamline that.
Kibicho, however, regretted that he was unable to oversee the completion of Huduma Number project, saying there was too much misinformation about the project for political gain, which hindered completion of the project.
Project almost was killed. I hope now that elections are far, we will not attach emotions around a project like that wants to clean up, digitize, and ensure that when a Kenyan gives you their identification, they are truly the Kenyans.
New Principal Secretary in the Ministry, Julius Bitok, however, promised to revisit the Huduma Number project and work to improve it, terming it an excellent idea.
The third very important issue I'll be focusing on is on this Huduma Number. We need to get back to it and see where did we get it wrong. Why was it there a lot of negative publicity about it? I'm thinking that we need to rebrand it probably into a smart ID that is more acceptable to the people.
In the Ministry of Information, Communication and Technology, new Principal Secretary John Kipchumba Tanui said the ministry will work to ensure Kenya becomes a regional technology hub, focusing on Konza City as a resource center on matters technology and information. Kipchumba says the ministry will work to attract investors in the country.
We will be working with this team to see how do we really build tech talent in our country. How do we make Kenya the continent's tech talent so that we can be able to attract new kind of businesses, business process outsourcing.
Also, outgoing Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Energy and Petroleum, Andrew Kamau, handed over to Mohamed Liban, who promised to streamline the gas and oil sector in the country in a bid to address the challenges experienced in the sector. It's a day that has seen many handing over ceremonies, Principal Secretaries taking over, with many promising quite a lot in their respective ministries. Collins Lusweti, TV47, Nairobi.
You are watching TV47, the home of untold stories.
Discover a world full of opportunities, a place to build your skill and see the world in a different perspective. Sensei Institute of Technology is the home to the best practical courses, giving you hands-on experience to handle the world. We offer courses such as plant operator, plant mechanics, driving and trailer driving, CCTV and alarm installation, solar installation, electrical installation, motor vehicle mechanics and electronics, building construction technology, welding fabrication, roads and dam construction, hospitality courses, and many more. For you to join us, ensure you have your national ID card and be ready to enjoy the ride.
Remember, my skills, my future at Sensei.
Sensei College, my skills, my future.
It has over 80,000 members, with its presence felt through 10 branches in Kiambu and Nairobi, with an asset base of 4 billion Kenya shillings.
TaiSacco was founded way back in 1992 by tea farmers.
We decided to change the name from Kiambu Tea Growers Sacco now to TaiSacco, so that we can be able to bring on board other sectors, civil servants, teachers.
We have the M-banking service. Our members can be able to transact at the comfort of their homes.
We have some in the US, Dubai, in the UK as well.
Tai is the Kiswahili name for eagle. It has focus.
Sikuwa na mashini hata moja, tulikuwa tunaosha na mikono. I was able kupata loan ya kwanza 80,000, nikanunua mashini ya kwanza.
Nilienda nikapewa pesa ya loan, nikanunua ng'ombe, nikaongeza sababu nilikuwa na moja.
TaiSacco, that year's journey has been a game changer to all our members.
We got 40 million from Tai with easy payment terms. I will not hesitate to recommend Tai to any business person.
The secret to an instant glow and spotless skin. Acne C10 is a 10% pure vitamin C serum that effectively fades dark spots and clears dark patches. With a unique formulation, it is quickly absorbed deep into the skin to give optimal results. Acne C10, 10% pure vitamin C serum, safe on all skin types.
Trisent School of Medical Health Science and Technology is a premier training institute for market-driven courses. With state-of-the-art facilities, competent and dedicated members of staff, and linkages with the medical industry, you are assured of a bright future when you study with us. Enroll today in our campuses at Juja, Nairobi West, Kisumu, and Homa Bay.
TV47 and win Lotto. All you need to do is watch TV47 and send 50 shillings to the payable number 328328, account name TV47, to enter the draw. The more you play, the higher your chances of winning if you send 50 shillings to the payable number 328328, account name TV47. Win Lotto. Everyone's a winner. Remember, send 50 shillings to the payable number 328328, account name TV47, and win with TV47 and win Lotto. This has been authorized by the Betting Control and Licensing Board of Kenya. BCLB number 000885. Play responsibly, not for people under the age of 18. Do you dream of working in Germany as a health practitioner? Mount Kenya University, through its affiliate, Equip Africa Institute, has partnered with Hochschule Koblenz University of Applied Sciences, Germany, to train you in healthcare assistant for German hospitals. The training, which targets those who have cleared KCSE and have proficiency in German, will be conducted in 2 semesters, with successful candidates being guaranteed apprenticeship and job opportunities in partner German hospitals. January intake is in progress.
Sona moja imetengenezwa kwa njia spesheli ili kupambana na maumivu kwa haraka. Sona moja ina aspirin kama kiungo. Sona moja, kitulizo kamili. Maumivu yakizidi, pata ushauri wa daktari.
You are watching TV47, the home of untold stories.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying with Kenya's fastest growing television. Let's get to more news and matters education. And the Ministry of Education has changed the timing of opening of containers that have national examination papers from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. to curb cheating in the exams. Chief Executive Officer of the Kenya National Examination Council says there were schools that used the morning hour period to attempt to cheat in the examinations. Our senior education affairs reporter Sharon Baranga has the details.
Monday morning, and more than 800,000 registered KCSE candidates were ready to begin writing their mathematics and English exams. This time round, the official opening time of the containers containing the examination material was changed from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. And here is why.
We have managed to start the exam at the expected time after opening the containers at 7. In the past, we've been opening at 6, so that gives the centers too much time with the exam papers, and those who want to play mischief, then they have a whole hour to do those things. So that's why we reduce the time of how long the centers should be having these exam papers. And as you have seen, there is no challenge. There will be 1 or 2 places where we will allow them to open the container at 6:30 if they are in the far-flung place and they have those challenges, but for most of these places, they don't have any challenge.
While we open at 7 here in Westlands, there would be a place where maybe they are opening at 6:45 because of the situation in which they are in. So we are managing each region and each place in their own circumstance, so that we ensure that there is no child who is disadvantaged, that each of them is able to start the examination at the appropriate time and at the time at which it is set out on the timetables.
Aside from that, the Ministry of Education has put in measures to safeguard the exam's integrity.
We have enhanced frisking of the students, especially because of the issue of phones. You have witnessed yourself that the invigilators and supervisors are doing a very good job of ensuring that they are frisking them. So we are vigilant across the country to make sure that we handle the question of phones which are not supposed to be in the examination centers. So far, so good. I would actually like to commend 99.9% of our center managers, supervisors, invigilators. They are doing a great job. But the 0.01% are the ones we are saying they have to make sure they do what they are supposed to do. And they all know what they're supposed to do.
Already marking of the KCPE examinations is underway.
For KCPE, we use personalized OMRs, that is optical mark readers, to facilitate machine reading. Then you need to personalize the answer sheets so that when you are running them, you know that this belongs to a specific candidate.
Form 4 candidates began writing their theory examinations on Friday last week. The exams will end on 23rd December. Sharon Baranga, TV47.
Elsewhere, the Council of Governors has faulted the national government for late disbursement of funds, saying operations at the devolved units could grind to a halt. And as Boniface Barasa reports, the council is also pushing for financing of community health services, including paying stipends to community health volunteers.
The Council of Governors has a bone to pick with the national government, accusing Treasury of delaying the disbursement of funds to counties. This is as the council now pushes for 15% increment in revenue allocation.
Note that the CRA has recommended Kenya shillings 407 billion to be allocated to counties in the financial year 2023-2024, which is a 10% increase from the current 370 billion on the vertical sharing of revenue. In line with this, the council proposes a 15% increase of the projected revenue growth in the financial year 2023-2024, and hence allocate request for an allocation of a minimum of 425 billion to counties.
The council's chair, Kirinyaga Governor Anne Waiguru, pointed out that Treasury still owes the 47 devolved units 29.6 billion shillings for the month of October and 31.45 billion shillings for the month of November, a situation that has crippled service delivery at the counties.
Currently, 47 county governments are owed 29.6 billion for October and 31.45 billion for November allocations. We therefore call upon the National Treasury to expedite the disbursement of monies owed to ensure that services in the counties are not disrupted.
On health matters, the council urged the national government to provide additional budgetary allocation to facilitate the renewal of contracts of staff in charge of universal health coverage.
Further, we urge the national government to provide additional budgetary resources to county governments for renewal of contracts of UHC staff at the market rate salaries. The payroll management for the UHC staff should also be transferred to county governments.
In addition, the council intends to engage the Ministry of Health on modalities to roll out payments for the community health volunteers.
Following the IBEC meeting on 18th October 2022, it was proposed that the cost of community health services stipend be split on a 50-50 basis between the county governments and the national government. In light of this, we will engage the Ministry of Health to develop the modalities of this proposal so that community health services do not stall.
The council has also revealed plans to hold the 10th annual devolution conference in Uasin Gishu County at a later date to be announced. Bonfas Barasa, TV47.
Now, the fight against criminal gangs unleashing terror on Nakuru residents since the year began appears to be far from over as criminals continue to seemingly dare the government. And as Chichi Josephine now reports, the residents are still reeling in shock after a gang attacked and killed a member of the elite police Reke Squad unit.
Police Constable Harrison Onyoki, who arrived in Nakuru on Saturday for his 6-year-old son's graduation ceremony, became a statistic among the gang's victims that evening, with his two brothers Hezron Onwanga and Morara Onwanga narrowly escaping death. The three fell in the hands of over 10 youth armed with crude weapons at around 11 p.m. as they walked home after watching a World Cup match at a local joint in Kwaronda, Nakuru West.
Tukifika hapo steamer line tukapatana na vijana wengine walikuwa zaidi ya 7 nao wakipanda. Sisi tukafikiria ni pia ni watu wamechelewa vile na sisi tumechelewa, pengine wametoka kuona ball.
Niliona daga walikuwa na marungu mengi, ndiye yametumiza mpaka hata kifua hapa sikii vizuri, lakini niko sawa. Huyu ndugu yangu mwenye ameaga, vijana walimwendea vijana 5. Mimi nilikuwa na vijana 3. Mmoja amenishika mikono nyuma, mwingine anaendelea kunigo.
Nakuru County Police Commander Peter Mwanzo says that Onyoki sustained fractures on his skull, which led to his death as he was being attended to at the Nakuru Level 5 hospital.
He staged a fight, of course. He never went down easily. He took them. But unfortunately, after stabbing him with a knife, we have an indication that someone else hit him with a crude weapon on the forehead, smashing it, whereby he fell unconscious. He was assisted by the police and the police were able to rush to the scene immediately, and he was taken to the hospital. Unfortunately, he never make it.
Onyoki's death paints a grim picture of how innocent people suffer and others killed by members of the outlawed Confirm group, which has splinter groups spread across various residential estates in the county. His death comes a month after the gangs conducted a series of attacks that left Pastor Simon Murage dead and several residents having their ears chopped off. A According to the county police boss, there appeared to be a strong campaign against the police, which was impeding them from performing their duties in dealing with insecurity. He, however, noted that they'll not relent in the fight against the gangs to keep the county safe.
But I'm looking at a situation where supposing the officer managed and things were the other way around. Maybe putting them down equally. Right now, what you could be seeing is what you see here. There could have been a lot of harassment.
Chichi Josephine, TV47.
Well, still in Kenya's latest county capital of Nakuru, and Nakuru Governor Susan Kihika has been forced to go back to the drawing board after the court disallowed her choice of nominees to the cabinet. The Employment and Labour Relations Court in Nakuru on Monday said her move announcing the nomination of the 10 individuals to fill in the county executive positions in her cabinet was illegal. Justice Helen Wasilwa, in a ruling following a petition filed by Nakuru Surgeon Benjamin Magare, said the recruitment process was not done in accordance with the law. She thus ordered Governor Kihika to initiate a proper legal process of filling the position as contemplated in the law.
And having considered all the above, it is in my finding that indeed the process so far initiated for the appointment of CSCs of Nakuru County was skewed. It does not reflect the county diversity of the county. The same should not be allowed to proceed. In the circumstances, these are my orders. Number one, the court issues an order of judicial review by Officer Shorarai, quashing the first respondent's press release or any document of the purported nomination, appointment of the interested parties, or any other person nominated without consideration of statutory and constitutional provisions as county executive committee members of Nakuru County government. Number two, an order of judicial review by way of mandamus compelling the respondents herein to initiate a proper legal process of filling the county executive committee members of Nakuru County government positions as contemplated in the Constitution, the County Government Act, and all enabling provisions of the law. Number three, an order of judicial review by way of prohibition, prohibiting the respondents and all persons from processing the nominations, appointment of the interested parties, or any other person nominated in contravention of statutory and constitutional excepts as provided under the law.
Please, your leadership.
Let's get to the world of business, and Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi has asked Commonwealth countries to work together and reform the multilateral trading system Commonwealth leadership to increase intra-Commonwealth trade to $2 trillion to 2030. He spoke when he addressed the Commonwealth Business Forum in London, the first such event since the outbreak of COVID-19.
There is someone in this room that I haven't met. Where is it?
Will support the Commonwealth's work, from providing capital for infrastructure and innovation to enhancing trade in services, providing independent legal services, and sharing our expertise in areas like insurance and green finance.
And it's wonderful to have the opportunity to once again celebrate the existence of the Commonwealth itself. 1/3 of the planet's population, with 60% of them under the age of 30, a collection of much valued trading partners for this country.
Commonwealth Connectivity Agenda's main purpose is to provide an approach for members to boost trade and investment across the Commonwealth.
I would therefore urge the Commonwealth to seriously consider an all-encompassing, cohesive infrastructure master plan for moving goods and services between her members and beyond. This is something that I think we can develop together. We can support each individual nation within the Commonwealth to have that master plan, and we see how it fits into the bigger whole.
From London to Nairobi, and former Jumia executives have launched a new e-commerce platform dubbed Kapu, which is expected to help consumers source daily used products in bulk at affordable prices. Kapu Chief Executive Officer, who previously headed Jumia Kenya, said consumers will benefit from low prices by sourcing products directly from farms and manufacturers through the platform.
But now I have so in case of did you see it? Yes.
I mean, number one, there is space for so many actors in this industry. The grocery basket is the single biggest market across Africa. It's enormous, and there's space for loads of actors playing in different parts and different roles. We are a B2C business, not a B2B business. And I think that's the key difference between our approach and what, for example, Twiga does. There's a big role for Twiga, for sure. We're doing a different approach on it. We think it's really important to build the relationship with the customer and to control the price to the end customer so that the efficiencies of our model are passed on to the consumer. So that's the difference. Where are we today? We have over 1,500 active weekly agents. So agents in the community in the areas that you can see on the screen there. And that's growing very quickly. We expect to be in all major neighborhoods of Nairobi by the end of Q1 next year, of March next year. So we're expanding quite quickly, which is important because it gives access to consumers to Kapu services and to saving with Kapu. And it gives earning opportunities to agents by us being present in those environments. What do people buy on Kapu? People buy Kikapu. They buy like their shopping basket. They buy fresh produce. They buy packaged consumer goods, they buy their commodities with us, and they shop often. The behavior that we see is that customers buy several times a week with us. And once they build the habit, they stick with it because they know that they're saving.
And finally, in business, Diamond Trust Bank is now the first Kenyan bank to train its front-facing staff in basic Kenya Sign Language and disability etiquettes in a bid to promote inclusivity banking for people with disabilities. In celebration of the International Day of Persons with Disabilities, the front-facing Diamond Trust Bank staff have received certification from the Deaf Institute of Communication and Sign Language training after completing a 6-week training program and examination on service delivery at the Kenya Institute. The bank has enhanced its digital channels accessibility with the website and internet banking channels, being inclusive for visually impaired persons and persons with disabilities.
We are very excited to have partnered with the Deaf Institute of Communication and Sign Language because it has allowed us to equip our staff to communicate to our critical stakeholders, our customers, in a way that we can impact their lives, that we can service them to their expectations.
We are very happy with the bank that they have the idea that there is this community of persons with disability that they felt they needed to include them in the financial services that they provide. And the only way to have done that in an adequate way is to empower and train the staff of the bank so that they are able to articulate it.
From business, let's get to the world of sports. Dennis Otieno is with me in studio. Dennis, Good evening. What do you have for us tonight?
Good evening to you, to Abubakar Abdullahi. Now tonight we'll be telling you about a certain domestic volleyball tournament and what to expect from it when it gets held over the weekend. We shall also be telling you about the global showpiece, that is the World Cup. There was a team that was playing, or rather there were teams that were playing earlier today. We'll be telling you the results registered as well as what to expect in a match that is coming right up. Those are among the many stories that we've end up. First off is Matters Volleyball. Now, over 90 teams from across the country are set to participate in the second edition of the National Heroes Volleyball Tournament that will be held in Mosoriot, Nandi County this weekend. Addressing the media at the Koitalel Samoei University College, where the tournament will be held, Kenya Volleyball Federation Vice President Charles Nyaberi confirmed that this week KVF National League matches will be held at the same venue on Friday 9th. The tournament, which will be held on Saturday 10th and Sunday 11th, will feature several categories, including professional teams, university and college teams, as well as community teams, among others.
Kuwapa ujumbe kuhusu tournament yetu ambayo ni second edition. Last year we had a very successful tournament.
We are very happy for those teams from school who participated last year, eventually end up being the champions, led by Cheptil, who won the East and Central Africa School competition and also the national. We had also Soin from Wasingishu, who are also the national champion for the primary schools.
Well, the theme of this year's tournament is taking the sport to the community. This is the hub of our talent. Most of our talent that ends up in our national team for both men and women, most of them come from this region. So it's only fair to give back, hold this tournament, and help also unearth, talent, sport.
And in future, we expect this tournament to be a brand. Just like we have other tournaments elsewhere in the world, they started from a small beginning. So we are holding it for the second time. It is now national. Last year it was regional. This year it is national. Could be by next year or in future. It could be even international.
Already the preparation is on top gear. And besides that, we've already started receiving the officials who are undertaking a training here on the grounds. And they are preparing for the same, and we are going to see real quality when it comes to the league on Friday and the Heroes tournament on Saturday.
Now, preparations for the Shujaa wa Eldoret Pool Tournament, also known as Billiards, that will be held in Eldoret Town, Uasin Gishu County, have been shifted to high gears as various participants in the tournament continue to sharpen their skills in domestic organized games. The tournament, which is expected to take place from 9th to 12th December this year, has attracted over 1,000 fans from across the country as they anticipate on how the legendary billiards players will showcase their skills in the tournament. Speaking after an organized domestic league known as Olympia, the players called on well-wishers to support the game and urged the Ministry of Sports to prioritize it as one of the sports disciplines in the country. In the Olympia League, Eric Koech and Uganda's Marion Kisache were crowned the winners of the men and women's categories after winning their respective matches.
So this is just one of the small preparation where the players will come and sharpen their skills and hands as we wait for the big tournament. So starting this week, tomorrow we'll be bringing our equipments. We will be doing the mega tournament in Tamasha. So we just urge the Eldoret people, those who have not yet registered, to register. We are going to close our registration on the 7th, and we are targeting like more than 1,000 players.
We're ready for the Tamasha one, and we'll continue. Everybody is welcome at Olympia. Every month we have tournaments, and you can see we give a lot of, there's a lot of merchandise, a lot of gifts, and good cash. Right now, you see what wamepata good cash, and it's Christmas season.
I was very tough on the final because the table is very nice. The table is sweet. We senior players, we need good tables to show people that we know how to play this game. The reason, as I said, they are the best tables. These are the best tables that you can make a very good shot, and people and the spectators like it. But if you go to those bad tables, you cannot make it.
Now, The Confederation of African Football (CAF) earlier today picked Kenyan football referee Peter Kamaku to officiate in the African Nations Championship (CHAN), which kicks off in January 2023. Kamaku has been one of the country's most established referees, having officiated in the high-profile matches within the continent, taking part in 2 editions of the Africa Cup of Nations AFCON in 2019 and 2021 respectively, and the 2019 FIFA Under-17 World Cup in Brazil. Kamaku also officiated in the 2020 CHAN finals in Morocco. This comes a week after FIFA lifted the suspension on Kenyan football, and Kamaku has specifically been appointed as a video assistant referee for the tournament. And on that note, that is all you had prepared for you in the world of sports. Now you're up to speed with the latest sports stories taking shape locally as well as internationally. My name is Dennis Otieno. Many thanks for your valid company. I wish you a lovely night as I take it back to Bakar Abdullahi.
And Dennis, perhaps before we conclude, what a tournament for Japan. They're out of the World Cup, but an impressive run defeating Germany and Spain.
Absolutely, Abubakar. Now, that is with respect to the match that was getting underway in the last 16 stage of the World Cup. Japan were playing against Croatia. They went in a 1-1 stalemate towards the end of normal stoppage time. Then the game went into extra time, still ended in a 1-1 stalemate. They headed on to the penalties where Croatia emerged victorious by 3-1. That means Croatia scored 3 penalties and then Japan scored only 1 of their penalties.
Dennis, is it coming home, as the English put it?
I mean, looking at how England have played so far, it is actually the second team in the World Cup that has won almost all their matches by such a huge scoreline. We saw them against Iran winning by 6-2. We saw them against Senegal winning convincingly. So that means that the English side seems to be quite organized, and they seem to have the players who have the technical know-how to score the goals. When you look at the statistics, not even a single match that England has taken part do we have a specific player scoring in two games for the English side. They have different players who are scoring goals for them. So it shows that they have a lot of firepower on the technical bench that can actually do what it takes to ensure they lift the title.
But they are facing a very informed France team.
Yeah, it is almost like a derby, looking at England coming up against France. This is a battle that has been there since time immemorial. France coming up against England. Yes, there is Kylian Mbappe, who's in top form. He actually said he feels like when he's taking part in the World Cup, that is where he gets to express his footballing skills very well. He feels like that is the epitome of football, according to him. So yes, he's in top form, but also you look at the English side, these are players who are motivated by the victories that they've been registering, despite the negative criticism that the whole English side has been met with. They're still very, very positive. They're very motivated by winning by, such a huge scoreline. So looking at England against France, it is very difficult to tell which side is going to emerge victorious. This 2022 FIFA